Hi guys, and today we will be reviewing a Bachmann locomotive, and this one is a Standard 5, BR Standard 5 class, and this is weathered condition, factory weathered by Bachmann. I believe that this locomotive is a preserved locomotive now, and it's a city of Peterborough. I've got that correct. Not sure how old the tooling is, but there's no plug from loco to tender, so it could be an early one. So anyway, let's get into it and see what it's all about, shall we? Starting off at the detail bag, I do believe some of the details were already added before I bought this locomotive. But what we do get in the bag looks like to be some steps and some drain cocks, which are black, not painted, but they're there anyway. That's what it looks like to me. Like I said, I think some of the details have already been added. As we move on to the front of the locomotive, this locomotive is weathered, as you can tell. We do have some detail parts already added, which look like they're from the bag. Starting off at the low part, which is the buffer beam. The buffers themselves are weathered, and they are metal, and they're also sprung as well. It's always nice, but a bit pointless in my opinion. We do have a small tension lock coupling, not sure which type it is. We have a hook on there, which is weathered. We also have a vacuum pipe or air pipe or something on there as well. The buffer beams have rivets, and they are in red or weathered red anyway. Moving up, this is where it gets a little bit interesting for me. It looks a little odd, looks a little bit American to me. We do have 3 lamp irons at the bottom as usual. Looks like we have at least 3 steps dotted around the thing to go up to the running board, and looks like to the smoke box door as well. They're all weathered. We have a simply applied dart. We have it over the top shed code, which is, I think the shed code is 9H, and that is Gorton, if I got it correct. Could be wrong, but that's what I think it is. We have a little thing on the door as well. We also have the bracing and the hinges, which are not picked out or anything, but they're there. We also have a little handrail across the top. We also have another lamp iron as well. We have the number of the locomotive, which is 73050, which I believe is City of Peterborough. I believe that's what it is now. I think this is preserved. And then we also have them bendy handrails at the side as well, along the boiler. And we have some overhead warning signs to go with it. As we move on to the side of the locomotive, both sides to me are exactly the same, but this side has a few differences. So I'll just do this one side. I could be wrong, and if I am, I do apologise. Where the windows are weathered near the cab, we do have a slight reverse there, just slightly sticking out. I think it's moulded into the chassis and all that from Bachmann, but it's there anyway. We also have a few washout plugs there, bit of weathering, and a step. There's a step there as well. And on top of that, we have the safety valves. We do have a thin handrail going around, and it curves at the boiler. Then near the chimney area, we do have some more piping of some description. I am not sure what it is, but it's there, and I think it is separately applied as well. The wheel configuration for this locomotive is a 460, and it's a Riddle's design based on the Black 5 by the LMS. We do have some lovely weathered motion as well, rods and stuff. It is nice around the cylinders. That does look really nice. There is also some more separate piping or moulded piping between the dome and the whistle. And we also have the number of the locomotive, which I think I got wrong last time. The number of the locomotive is 73050, and it is the City of Peterborough preserved. As we move on to the part that I think most people look forward to in a review, and that is the cab area. We'll start off with the cab of the locomotive. These some sort of guards to stop the cab crew from falling out by the looks of it. It does look a little odd shape, but I do know the BR were doing that sort of stuff in the cabs. There's nothing in there painted or whatever. It's just there. It's moulded. You can see if you look closely. It's just black moulded. The windows are heavily weathered, and you can see that come through if the light is correct. They look quite nice actually. We do also have the old-fashioned Bachmann way of tender to loco connection or loco to tender connection, and that is a metal strip with 2 holes, and then you put it between the tender gap and wind a little bit of plastic to hook it on. That's it. That's how Bachmann do it. Moving across to the tender. The tender is pretty detailed. There's a few boxes there for the fireman. There's also a coal chute as well. There's also a lip to go underneath the locomotive, if that's correct. It does have buffers as well, and there's a few steps. Mine also has a hole in it, which I'm unsure if it's correct or not, if someone's modified it. And there also is little glazing in the little windows to go with it. As we move on to the tender is a standard tender, and it's a BR1G tender, and it has the Lake Quest in there. Just about see it through the weathering. There also is some lining, which I think is white and red and black. Could be wrong, it's a bit hard to see through the weathering, but that's what we have. We also have some moulded axles down here. A little bit of weathering, a little bit of yellow stuff on the axles, I think, from the looks of it. It's a little hard to see. We do have that lip, like I said. I think it's just the way the BR were. And we also have some steps as well, either side of the tender. As we move on to the back of the tender, it is quite interesting. This, for me, and that sounds sad, but it is. We do have it weathered, obviously. We also have metal sprung buffers, which are heavily weathered. We also have a weathered hook and chain link, which has been added by the previous person, by the looks of things. We also have a hook itself, which is a small tension lock one, and that has been weathered to go with it, which is always nice. The buffer beam does have some rivets, and it is in red. It does look quite nice. Moving up, we have handrails either side of the tender, so you can get in and out. We also have a ladder going up. We have 3 more lamp eyes at the bottom, and we have 1 at the top. We also have warning signs going on this tender for overhead wiring. And then we also have 2 plates. I think 1 is for the type of tender and the water capacity, if I've got that correct. And there's also a little handrail as well. It is quite detailed. As we do an aerial view on the top of the tender, you can see the top is heavily weathered, just like the rest of the locomotive. You can see the water filler cap that is there, and it's near the ladder. You can also see 2 small handrails. I think that's for safety to help the crew. There also is a dome, which I've been told is for air. I'm not sure how true that is. It's what I've been told by someone who used to work on the railway. Sorry if it's wrong. We also see the tender does have a little slope before you get to the coal load. The coal load is small and it is nice. I don't think it's removable though, but it is nice and it is small, like I said. And you can also see some of that dip that the tender has to go underneath the locomotive. As we do an aerial view on top of the locomotive now, we do have vents that don't move. It's not a bad thing, but they don't move. They are there, but that's the main thing. Moving across a little bit more, we do have some piping and some safety valves. I do believe the safety valves are metal on this one. The piping itself is moulded, I think. We also have some lining on the locomotive, which I think is red, black and red. It's a bit hard to see. We also have some washout plugs. We have a dome. We have the handrails going around the boiler as well. We have some moulded piping. And then we get to the whistle, which is behind the chimney. And then we also have a chimney, which you can look down. And you can also see the footplate too, and the buffers as well. As we do an underneath look at the loco, I do think it's plastic. I don't think there's any die cast on this, but it's not a great shame to me. We do have metal wheels, and they do have metal axles as well by the looks of things on the bogie. The 6 driving wheels are the ones that pick up on this locomotive. Just so you're aware, it hasn't got any plug or anything like that. We also have the brake rigging that's been applied or was in a detail bag, I'm not too sure, but it's there and it is weathered. We have a few screws to take off the base plate as well. You can also see a speed cable as well on the locomotive too. And finally, as we move over to the tender, the underneath of the tender, the connection to the locomotive is the old-fashioned one. Like I said, it's the pole with 2 holes, and then you just find a little bit of plastic. That is there, is okay. At least you haven't got to worry about the plug or anything. It's there, you know, everyone to their own. Moving across, we do have the brake rigging again, like the front. I don't know if it was already applied or manufacturer added it. Going by the size of the bag, I want to say the manufacturer added it. The wheels are metal and they are dirty. I don't know if that's because I haven't cleaned them or the previous owner abused the locomotive, but they are there. There's not really much to talk about here. We do have a scoop in the centre as well, which is always nice to see. A little bit plain underneath, and then we have the weathered coupling at the end too. So next up will be the usual second radius and points test. Bachmann, for me, have trouble with second radius and my points. I don't know why. They're the only manufacturer that really does. So yeah. So here goes. Let's see how it gets on, shall we? Not too great, but it is Bachmann 30. They don't seem to like tight curves, even though on the website it says it can do second radius. So yeah, it managed that just as I thought it would. Struggle. I thought it might struggle going, and the second radius it did slightly, but not as bad as the points. The points were actually quite bad, but it did make it. Even though it slowed down, it did make it. So next up is some slow speed and a train, and then I'll see you at the end. $20. It doesn't like 20 at all. So you can do 20, but it doesn't like it. So yeah. Still looks smooth on the outer loop. So yeah guys, that's the end of the running session. Before I give my opinion, I'll show you what it ran with. It's basically just random mix of goods that I had. Mixture of manufacturers as well, mixture of brands too. Doesn't look too bad for me. I was unsure what to run with the 5MT. I looked online and saw some pictures of coaches and goods. I thought I'd go with goods for a change and tender first as well for something different. If you'd like me to do more tender first stuff, that's fine, I can. As long as the loco's got a coupling on the front, I will do it. In my opinion of this, apart from it struggling on my points, it can do second radius. It can do the points just. If the price is right, yeah, get one. Unless Bachmann have retooled it recently that I don't know about. For example, put the plug in it, engineered it to do it better on second radius, then yeah, these are well worth the money for me. Most Bachmann locos go tight over time, so I don't know if that's their fault or mine, I don't know. But yeah, highly recommend these. Like I said, this is a preserved one, and this is, I believe, City of Peterborough, but before it was preserved, obviously. And the weathering doesn't look too bad. Anyway guys, I will see you in the next video, so please take care.